two dope dudes, bringing you the news, leading you to much success with all their insightful views. Do you grow yourself or buy from the top shelf? Are you here to take the reins and gain back your health? Whatever it is, you know the biz. Leave a light, crack a pipe, and let's get on with it. If you want to acquire the knowledge, you don't have to go to college. You can just come hang with Aaron and Dave.
Yo, welcome to the Elevated News Podcast with Two Dope Dudes. We are your source for Midwest cannabis news, culture, and more. I am Aaron.
I'm Dave.
We're the Two Dope Dudes. What's going on, bro? How are you?
Fantastic.
Hell yeah.
Yes, very looking forward to the conversation today.
Yeah. Me too. This is our Memorial Day episode, and we have a very special guest, somebody that I met a couple years ago when I was down in St. Louis at the Grow Active Solutions anniversary party. I was lucky enough to be able to go down there and work for the Green Grow Biologicals and run their tent. And this dude was kitty quarter for me, and this guy's tent had a line all day. Missouri really showed up for this guy, and I'm going to introduce him as Mr. Mo Love himself, Jay from Tree 14 Genetics. This guy is I've been watching this guy for a couple of years, and he's been doing some really cool genetic stuff, and he's integrated with the Missouri regulated market through Vibe Cannabis. And so here's Jay from Tree 14. Everybody welcome him. Hell yeah. What's good, man? How are you?
How you doing? How you guys doing today, man? Dave, nice to sit down, chop it up with you guys for a little bit, man.
Absolutely.
We're gonna have some fun.
Hell yeah. So Jay, I met you a couple years ago, and Missouri seems to really like your stuff. You had people at your booth pretty much all day. You and Jordan River were the busiest guys all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's one thing I really like about St. Louis, Missouri, and I think it's more so just this Midwest is that we will fully support and back people that are doing things. You know,
yeah.
Especially it's like this made in America, but we're made in the middle of America, and we all want to I think there's this consensus that we want to push to this next level.
Yeah.
So we'll support our own before we'll support,
You're right. Yeah. I mean, I have support dope people. That means support the people in your community that are doing dope things. You know, support the people nobody's talking about that you see, and that's about showing up for the Midwest too, for sure. I love that. And it's one of the reasons I love what you're doing, it's super awesome. And
I fell in love with your sticker before I even knew what was going on. I would see the sticker everywhere. I'd be like, "You support the people." I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. That's what it's really all about. I was told a long time ago, man, is that if you're not bringing the people up around you, you're holding them down.
That's right.
So it's a really beautiful thing to see, not only the love that I've gotten from the community, but the love that the community is giving to the community. It's a really nice thing. It's a lot different than other markets that I've been in and other states that I've worked in, other states that I've just kind of admired what they were doing until I got actually into them, and you're like, oh, this is that I'm used. Okay, I'm back. I grew up born and raised here in St. Louis, so it's this is home. This is what everything I've done. So to leave here and see other areas and not feel like that same sense of togetherness that we have here.
Sure.
I try to bring that out, but there's just something about the Midwest, man. It's a different, we're a different beast out here. So like, I'm super stoked to be here and to be doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, you're right. The Midwest is awesome. And one of the things that I've said, I tell people about the Midwest because I have lived other places. There's something about going through the winter together, collectively struggling, and then coming out on the other side. It does that to people. And I think that's the Midwest superpower. We all collectively go through suffering in the winter together in some way, and then we come out and life is beautiful, and we all just go out and really show out.
And then we suffer again around like July 14th to
Yep.
August 31st.
Yeah, the humidity. And you guys down there in Missouri are worse. You're south of us, so whew.
Oh yeah, it'll be 95 with 85% humidity, and it is just it doesn't matter how many summers you go through here in the mid and especially in Missouri.
Yeah.
You just never get used to it. And then winter, I'm like an avid skater, so I love skating. I love going like a different kind of. I longboard, so
Cool.
I like to like go super fast down super sketchy roads and ice.
Yeah.
And in the winter, it's like I feel like I'm just like a surfer looking out to the ocean. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like it's too cold to be outside. The roads are fucked up, and it's like, damn, I yearned for like the end of February, March, or I could get back.
Hell yeah. So you were talking earlier about being in other states, and I know that you worked in some other states. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So my first gig that I got was in Montana back in 2010. So I was working for a company called Montana Cannabis. First job was like head of the group. So it's like walk in, like Montana is a whole different type of beast, but like 2010, walked in, full headed dreadlock, big beard, just like whooped out as hard as I could be. And those Montana guys didn't quite like that, you know what I'm saying? And but like we had two 10,000 square foot greenhouse bays for free. Totally like within a short amount of time, really went in, like dialed in what they were doing, and then sadly, well, yeah, I don't know, sadly or whatever, but like during that time frame that I was working out in Montana, legislation had tried to repeal the medical vote that the people had, and they tried to abolish the medical industry in Montana. So the day that legislation, and this was like the first, I guess this was like a big deal because it was the first time in like American history that voters had voted something in, approved it, and then legislation was coming to repeal it. And when legislation didn't repeal it, that same day, within an hour of that vote, the FBI, the DEA, DCI, like 70 officers raided the facility.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I was in the greenhouse with my partner doing a little bit of work, and one of the people from the trim team ran into the greenhouse. It was like, they're here. And like the way the greenhouse was set up, it was like literally we were like on like one of like the main parts of town. Like like we were 2 feet away from the road. So we could see everything, like all cars, but we didn't see anything, so I didn't believe it. And then the look on his face made us be like, okay, something's going, So me and my buddy, we walked out to the back door of the greenhouse, and as soon as we opened up the door, it was like, you remember like playing like you go to like David Buster or something like that, and you'd hold the gun, and then like you'd hit the corner, and all these creatures would be there. Dude, as soon as we opened up the door, there were 15 agents with AR-15s pointed at us.
Holy shit. Yeah, people don't understand what that's like. People who've never been like raided or had to deal with ATF or FBI or anything. It's a different beast.
Yeah, especially for like just going to work. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I'm
You're
just
like,
like at
they're
work
paying me to be
today, and
here.
then
Like, I've got insurance or whatever. What the fuck?
yeah. So then like they put an AR-15 to the back of my head, hog tied me, drug me across the ground, and then when they walked us up to the front of the building, and when we got to the front of the building, like CNBC, Fox News, all these national news chains were there because they were there covering the vote. So like now here I am, like I got blood dripping down my face, I'm hog tied, and now I'm on the news. And it was one of those days where it's like, man, why am I doing this? You know what I'm saying? Like, is this, like this what it's going to be? You just get to the point where you got to question some of the actions. And like, interrogated. It was just like it was a nightmare. But it was weird because they were like, "Hey Jay," like they knew my name. And it was
Yeah.
just like, okay, this is deeper than just this vote. So needless to say, and what's really crazy about this, really crazy about the day we got raided. The day we got raided in Montana was March 14th. All right, so I'm from. All right, 314 is the hits. My company. I'm
It's
St. Louis through and through. So I get rated on 314. My dad's birthday is 314. My mom was in a horrible car accident, spent like 500 plus days in the hospital. The day she came home was 314 day. So I was like, of course I'm going to get rated on this fucking,
yeah.
And, so I left Montana, came back to St. Louis, and that's when I teamed up and started doing some work with Tilray, a company in Canada. That was when Illinois first went medical. So we had actually bought this, like not me, but like Tilray, who I was working for. We did a bunch of work to like with the governors and all this stuff in Illinois. And right outside of I think it's DeCoin, Illinois, there was this like CD manufacturing warehouse. It was like 300,000 square feet. Tilray had bought it, had started retrofitting it, and then like 2 days before the state was doing the sorry state the ex depart head of the Department of Agriculture of Illinois retired and applied for the same district, and of course he won. All right, because
Right. It's
it's
Illinois.
Illinois. Yeah, and
We agree.
so then he built, yeah. They don't call it the Windy City for nothing, but it's like it's the whole state. And so they built their grow at the edge of the airport down in Carbondale, right? And 24-hour, they had the whole grow set up in 90 days.
Sure.
They built from the ground up, 30,000 square foot of greenhouse, 20,000 square foot building, and then they totally fucked everything up. And then 6 months later, they wanted us to come back and try to set them up, and it didn't work at that time. So Illinois kind of faded out. Then I did some consulting work for them in like Rhode Island, a couple other places in the East Coast. That's kind of like around that time is when Colorado just started going off. So then it was like, okay, now up to Colorado,
Yeah.
Let's get a 99 plant caregiver count.
Right.
Let's do all these things. And like, so then Colorado came on board, and man, that was fun.
Right.
Okay. And at the peak in the beginning of Colorado, when everybody was just like, it was the wild fucking West. Like people selling number 2 pencils on Craigslist for $200. you know, but your pencil came with a 3 ounce of weed. It was
Yeah.
like
Wild.
seeing all these little different avenues that people were going down, man. And then you fast forward and see where Colorado's at today, and it's like
It's getting worse too, which is really sad. There's still some like really cool like breeders and growers out there and culture, but the dispensaries are kind of, lacking.
yeah. I mean, I think convenience really kind of like convenience and the cost of living kind of killed Colorado.
Yeah.
Because all the dope people that were out in Colorado can't afford to fucking live there.
Right.
No,
Unless you're on the western slope.
Yeah, you know, like
Uh,
I don't know. I still love Colorado. It's
oh,
like,
for
but
sure.
it's crazy. The only part that I really visit anymore is like one of the only towns that has no weed in it, and it's because it still reminds me of old Colorado.
Okay.
I love Estes Park. It's it's one of my favorite spots. So it's like
Oh yeah.
I told my homie, I was like, I'll breathe my last breaths in Estes Park, you know, because that's just like yeah.
That's dope.
We're gonna go, yeah. And then from Colorado, that's when Oregon came, and it was way easier for us to get a license in Oregon than it was. That to do it in Colorado. Colorado was you needed fucking $5 million even to play in the game, you know. And
which is not much different, nowadays. You need about $5 million just to open a dispensary, like in Illinois.
I suppose a little less. Cultivation, you're 10, 20 probably to, well,
easily over there for sure. But I'm gonna tell you what, man. There's a couple people. There's a Redemption Botanicals in Illinois, man. Like Red Smoke Weed. That dude is a beast, man. He's been in the game for fucking forever.
Can I tell you one I bet you don't know about? In Springfield, Nomad, Illinois, doing Living Soil.
Ooh.
Doing Living Soil, and it's a Fresh Coast. It's a Fresh Coast connection.
Okay. I haven't seen any of their flower, but
just starting to come out. We're talking dab grade rosin pens on the regulated Illinois market.
Nice,
just saying, check it out. But yeah, Redemption Botanicals too.
Yeah,
but that's a new one.
Yeah, I'll have to check them out for sure. But I think from a lot of the herb that I've seen in Illinois, especially like what's available just across the river from where I'm at, I haven't really been like super stoked on, you know. But I know that like I will go over and rock some of that Redemption because he's growing the right strains. He's got the right input in there, and it's really funny because like we're almost simultaneously hunting some of the same seeds right now. Like it was like good mind, think alike,
Oh, yeah.
So
mentioning Redemption out here and recognizing them gives you a fuck ton of credibility, bro. If people know what's up in the Illinois market, Redemption is putting some smoke out there. It is
they
really nice.
Yeah, and like they're doing it right. So it's really kind of odd because where I'm at right now with Vibe is that like we just rolled out. We're the first in the Missouri market to roll out the 3.5, 7, and 14 gram pop vac jars.
Nice.
Right? And the Redemption's doing it's using the same jar. So it was just like I just had one of these guys from Michigan come down a couple weeks ago, Wolverine Growth, and he's a consultant, and like so he came in, we walked the facility. He's like, oh yeah, he's like, you don't need any of our here. You guys are doing you're right where you need to be. Like we got the right gear, I like to look at what everybody's doing so that I can see what good like highlights they're doing and then what not to do, and I think being consistent with quality, no matter if you're in the legal market, traditional market, like if you put quality above everything else, then everything will work itself out at the end. You know, doesn't matter what scale you're at.
I mean, Dave and I always talk about is, just putting love into the plant, and like you get out what you put in. And if you're
Mhm.
just growing to, get 4 to 6 grows a year and just bust it out and make as much money as you can. And, you grow that way, you remediate that way, and you just bust that product out. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get, less than mids flour. But if you're putting
Yeah.
love into it and you're thinking about it and you're putting care into it, you're going to get better flour, and you're going to get stuff that like blows everybody else away. Like you just
Yeah, I think that it's so true. I think one of the, we can teach tech, everybody can teach you tech.
Sure.
But I think one of the most important parts of the equation is actually the human equation.
Yeah.
And like if you're putting like that the right energy and intention and believing in what your process is,
Yeah.
believing in like yourself while doing it, being assured of it, like I think that's one of those factors that you really can't. There's no measurement, and that's kind of how I've been since like the first day I ever planted a seed, took a cutting. It's just like I believed in what I've been doing. I believed in like the love that you really truly need
Mhm.
to I never want to look at this plant like a commodity,
Right.
and I think that gets lost in a lot of. I mean, I think it gets lost on the legal and the traditional side.
And
You know what
but
I'm
there's a
saying?
place for it too. I mean, but it's just like it's how people, how people take it and use it. And hopefully the people who have the right intentions and are using it in the right way, hopefully more people use their products than the people who are just, using it in the wrong way that we don't like and we don't agree with. That's where you get bad flour. Like, don't buy bad flour.
Yeah.
Can I ask you
And
then?
I like how you brought up remediation too, is because what's like if you actually, I wish I had one of our jars right here.
Mhm.
Like on our new jar and on like right across the bottom it says never radiated.
Right.
Like we would, that's it's like, yeah, I think that like once you start getting into that, now I understand that in other countries, and if you want to be like GMP certified, you've got these other things, especially like in Canada and like the European markets, like all of it has to be.
Sure.
You know, that's
But
I hope that we never get to that, but like I think that if you're doing that, you need to label that like across the board in every state that has dispensaries, every state that grows. That's one of those things that definitely needs to be on the label.
I mean, I agree with you. I know, Dave, you have a question, but I just
Oh, you're
want to
good.
go off on this a little bit. Yeah, and you already know what I'm going to say. The companies that have to grow this garbage weed with aphids and turn it into distillate because, like, the laws in the state say that it has to be a certain microbial count. I mean, it's really unfortunate, and I think that states that write laws and that write cannabis markets that operate in this way, we're going to look back in history and we're going to say, "Oh, I can't believe that our government harmed our people this way," because we're doing crappy distillate with high THC, and people are smoking these pens all day, and like we don't understand what this actually does to people because we're taxing based off of THC. So we're just incentivizing these companies to grow crappy weed with high THC, get it done as quick as possible, use as less money as possible, get that tax money for daddy government, and daddy government gets all their tax money, and then Sorry, that's my personal
it,
thing about remediation and crappy weed.
yeah, especially when like if you just have like strong, solid SOPs
Yeah.
dialed in environments, like you don't have to worry about those things, like of course there always will be a worry, you know what I'm saying? Because like nothing is ever perfect, no run. Like
Yeah.
I've been doing this 30 plus years. I've had probably 4 truly knockout 100% like banger runs. Now granted, I've had a lot of like close ones, but I'm that meticulous to where it's like like, oh, the fan didn't turn on for the right amount of
Right.
time, the production was down. Like I'm so critical on myself that like, and I think that like if you do things right, you don't have to. And there's sadly a lot of groups that are just pump and dump, they're like,
Yeah.
let's just, and that's one of the like the main reasons, and that's one of like the like when I first, when I first teamed up with Vibe,
Hmm.
like I had toured a couple other facilities in the Missouri market, and I was just like, fuck, man, I'm like, I don't align
Just
here. This
they
is not
passed the vibe
something.
check, man. They just passed the
Yeah,
vibe check, and that's, sometimes that's what it's about. And it's actually, you guys in Missouri are so lucky because you guys can actually write your own laws and have them implemented and passed into law. And that's why you guys have a lot less scummy laws and I think a better cannabis market down there with, you guys are doing almost or just as much money as us, raising just as much taxes and stuff. And, not have highest taxes. So, I mean, it's just proof that you
yeah,
guys can do it.
like in I think with it's there's a lot of good, there's a lot of like, oh fuck,
Sure.
so like the fact that like first and foremost they let everybody, like if you got your med cards you could grow, if you wanted
Hmm.
to be a caregiver you could be a caregiver, and then when rec passed, if you just wanted to grow 6 plants you could just grow your 6 plants, and like they didn't completely shut out the home grower side
Yeah.
from the get, and they really kind of celebrated that. And with the couple years that we had went from medical before we went into rec, a lot of home growers were actually able to establish themselves
Hmm.
and like, became assets to the community. And then now,
Free seed day. Hell yeah. You and Bo
they
with
did.
free seed day, man.
Man, that was like I loved Free C Day. It was like we didn't do it this year. There's some underlying reasons that
I heard other states say we're not doing free seed day this year either. So it's one of those
but
things.
for me it really came down. There's some health issues within my family,
Okay.
so like I between work, between my company
Sure.
and that, I wasn't able to like fully dedicate the proper amount of time
Yeah.
to make sure that, but we will be doing it again.
Yeah.
And that's like my funnest thing because, I know a lot of states have their little farmers markets and these little like,
Hmm.
pop up, which I fully support,
Sure.
but like especially when we go back to like the beginning, like when we like the first events we were having to where it was like there's more to offer.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like I just don't want to sit in a room where it's just 10 people fucking
It's a race to the bottom now, man. It's a race to the bottom now.
so it's like if we can offer something else, you know what
Sure.
I'm saying? And like flower is like secondary because like okay, so you touched on it. You're 47, I'm
Yeah.
50. Weed events growing up for me was going to a concert.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's what it
Yeah.
was. You know what I'm saying? We snuck weed in or whatever else we snuck
Hmm.
in, and like we just like weed was just part of the
Sure.
equation. And like, so you surround yourself with people that are really like they're here to hear the same music you are,
Yeah.
and not Tim, we're gonna burn a fucking joint now, but we have to do it in a sly way to where like security's not gonna kick us out, and like the foundation of the culture
Mm-hmm.
really started like a long time ago with music, and like gatherings
Yeah.
and like that's so it's like so anytime that we try to like plan an event or do anything like that, especially like me and Bo, we will go back to that root
Mm-hmm.
where this all started for us,
Sure.
and try to make sure that that spirit doesn't like collapse. And, we push that on because, I think the older I get, the more like of these deep conversations that I have with people and stuff. And like, I'm at the point now where I'm not worried about how much more I can gain.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not worried about that. At this point, I'm worried about what am I going to leave behind?
Yeah.
And like what that's 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 when we can use that term legacy. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that term gets used quite often in the wrong sense because, legacy market. Okay. Well, here's the deal is that most of these people in the legacy market were just here 24 months ago.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I started doing this. A lot of people that I know, like we're in the mid 90s.
Yeah.
We didn't have carbon filters. We didn't, you know what I'm saying? You couldn't get clones. You had to like order seeds from another country.
Yeah.
And
You had to
have
get a
them shipped.
pen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So it's like you had to live a certain way, and I think that I've always used this term as like most people never understand what it's like to commit a felony while you're sleeping, just to be who
You are.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And it's like I don't know how many times I got so good at lying about what I did for work. You know what I'm saying? That I could just like you'd ask me, oh yeah, boom, yeah, yeah, da, 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 and it's and it was really beautiful though, even though I chose this is what I chose to do. I was like, I don't care. I will risk everything every day to be who I am, because I don't want to I'm not somebody that's gonna like work for someone else. I've just always had to have.
Yeah. You got to have some sort of accountability to yourself. You're like, you can get paid by somebody else, but you're working for somebody else is a different thing.
There's a big difference of working for and working with. I will work with, but I won't work.
Yeah.
Like I've risked too much to work for someone at this point in time in my life.
Hell yeah.
I kind of just went on a little tangent.
No, that's awesome, dude. That was fantastic. Dave, I know you had a question. Did you want to use this opportunity to ask that?
No, I mean, yeah, I guess, and we were talking more about it then. We were talking about the integrity of things, and for you versus the legal market. Now that you are part of the legal market, how much are you handcuffed to growing something or picking to grow something because it will be more profitable than to pick and grow something that you care about? And like, because I know I read in one of the articles that I was reading about you that you guys are doing massive seed hunts and you're finding different little nuances from you put 400 seeds in the ground, it's all of the same strain, but you're getting so many different things of it. And you did say like there's sometimes those are keepers for me, but for the market it's not the same. And I know that the reason why you're with Vibe is because they've given you more freedom, but how many times do you have to make the decision where you say this thing looks the part and more again appeasing the people more than you are pleasing yourself? Does that happen?
Okay. Yeah, so I know exactly the comment and I know exactly what you're talking about is that I peeled some things that I would keep for myself.
Yeah.
Because I'm like I don't care about the yield.
Bingo.
I don't care about like. There's a lot of things that I like for my own personal. You know what I'm saying? That I would, yeah, that's the one I would keep right there. But I, you know, I'm at a point where like there's 260 other people that I have to worry about, you know, and I can't let my own personal like how do I say this?
Biases.
Yeah, I can't. I have to. I have to check that because I got to really think. You know, and the beautiful part is that since we're able to do such big seed hunts, and we do like we seed hunt, so we have 11 flowering groups. So when we have a round, all right, that's all 11 flowering rooms harvesting at one. You know what I'm saying? We do a harvest every week. All
Dope.
right. So every 11 weeks we do a new pheno hunt run. Every single 11 weeks. So we will like the F11 is R&D, and that's kind of like where I spend like the bulk of my time. So like we got to base these things not just off of like we got to base these, how do these clone, how do they veg, what kind of growth rate do they have, internode spacing, uh, like do they handle the stress, and like so sometimes like I have to really think like if I find this awesome pheno, right, because I gotta come up with 1,300 plants to fill the room, right? But if this pheno is like, I go back to one of my favorite strands of all time, LA Confidential. Right? I love LA Confidential. Is it viable for a home grow? No. Is it viable for a commercial grow? No. You know what I'm saying? When you got some of these varieties, and especially when we go back to origins, we start talking about Afghans, we start talking about Kush, we talk about these things, is that some of these plants were designed to grow on the side of a cliff at 8,000 feet elevation, high winds. And so there's no way to really get that thing to be a clone producer to actually produce enough plants and allow it amount of time to actually grow them and be successful with them. But now at home, yeah, I don't care. I'll take this thing. I'll take my 2 cups off of it. I'll veg them for 5.5 months because if I want to get 2 ounces off the plant, that's what you got to do. So, uh, and then you also got to think about like there's testing and COAs on things. So it's like luckily like we are very thorough in
Yeah.
our process, so like even if some things like let's say that checks the box for growth rate, flower production, trichome production, but now it doesn't hit the COA number. All right. A lot of these things that in the past that we would have killed off, we're kind of holding on to now
Hmm.
because once we can get into when we're in the process of opening up a bunch of our own dispensaries. So
Soon.
yeah, real soon. So then that's when we will like shift a lot of our stuff to Deli-Style. All
Nice.
right. And with Deli-Style done right, I think that's like the truest way to let people actually like get what they want. You know what I'm saying? Because Deli-Style is what we all grew up on. You know what I'm saying? You opened the fucking bag, you looked at the fucking shit, and was like, I need that.
And
Your
you
nose
smelled it.
knows.
Yep.
Your
Your
nose
nose
Yeah.
knows.
knows.
Yeah, and
Subconsciously,
when
your brain, you don't even know, but your brain is telling you because you're smelling it. And you're like, oh, I
yeah,
really like that. It's your brain saying, hey, you need whatever terpene or whatever cannabinoid is in there. Like your body is lacking in that. That's why you got to have it.
yeah. So that's one of the things that I kind of don't like about like how a lot of places have to package and all that stuff. I want like that's what's kind of driven this high THC only purchasing and all this stuff because people are using that metric as a quality thing, and in all reality, like I go back when I was in Oregon. There was this group had released this strain called Future. It was like Future One. I think it was from Exotic Mike or something like that. And they released 3 different phenos, right? And one of the phenos had set Oregon's like highest test ever. It was like 37% THC, and the other two phenos were like 26 and 21. So we were like, of course, like, oh, let's go get it. Let's see what this is. And the 38 percenter was absolute dog shit. Had no terps, had nothing. It had nothing to come along with it. It was just like, hey, I got THC, nothing else. The 26 percenter, absolute warhammer. Like, dude, you would exhale it because I think the future was a GG4, it was a GG4 cross from Exotic, and it was just super fucking loud, potent, and oh man, like I would smoke it to this day. But I think it's hard. It's not that it's hard, but to like truly educate people on what to go and get, like it is becoming like different.
It
But I'm
is.
trying, you know what I'm saying? You got to really, if you're going to go to the store, you're going to go to like one of these legal places and purchase something, man. Ask them, what are the terps on this? What are the other cannabinoids that are here? Because THC by itself is nothing. There's very little effect on you. It's like, I'm not going to smoke flower that's going to just do the same thing Disty's going to fucking do. I want that entourage effect. I need all these things coinciding together, because that's what creates the experience. Like I'm not chasing a high. I'm chasing this experience that I want. You know what I'm saying? I want like my taste buds to go fucking crazy on the exhale. I want the inhale to taste one way, the exhale to taste another way, man. I want to like crinkle my toes a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like I want that's how we used to be.
Right.
Yeah, can I? The one thing that I say a lot too, because it comes up a lot, old heads who used to come into the dispensary and go, "Well, shit from back in the day is better than shit now," and there's some like what they're saying makes sense when what you're saying is another thing. If the market is demanding nothing but a THC rich a number on the back of a package and something that they can't see, touch, smell, nothing, if that's what the market is, then is that ruining the essence of what cannabis is? Will there be a generation or a thing where the people who only have access to that aren't really experiencing what cannabis has to offer, and all they are experiencing is this THC rich fabricated for, and like you said, there's times where the 26 percenter is way better than the 38 percenter, but the marketing team, the C suite, everybody that has anything to do with the profit side of it's going to go do the 38. I don't give a shit. People are going to spend money on it until whatever. So I just wonder if will there be some day where those two worlds collide, or it comes to a head, and fine, go be your THC producing companies, and then we actually get a craft grow, like you're saying, like Redemption has some of the most bomb ass flower in one of these larger
And rosin.
settings. And it almost feels like when I look at their numbers, they're not lying about how much THC, they're not inflating it. They don't need to, because the product ends up speaking for itself. I don't give a shit what it is. It could be, and some of my favorite flower that ever got produced in Illinois was back in the day. And like you said, it just because it wasn't viable, it was an SFV OG Kush that produced little tiny tight ass fucking nugs, and they called it 14% or 16% or whatever it was. And that wasn't good enough for the market. It was the most badass fucking flower to be put into a package in this state ever. And it can't do it.
Dude, it's the SFV, man. I mean, that's San Fernando Valley, bro. Like that's and that, yeah, I mean, that's one of those strains right there that will stand the test of time. Doesn't matter what the test is.
Ooh, it's coming back this year too. Everybody, like I have some testers that I've been growing, but I've seen more and more people with that San Fernando Valley OG coming out soon.
A lot of these old strands are having this like resurgence right now. is because people are sick of I'm not gonna say people are sick of, but people are wanting something different. They're wanting something more. They want to feel like,
You mean the next guava cross is not it?
now you can do it. So, I mean, like, there's a couple ways to really look at that, because when you really start to think about it, and uh, it's up to the breeders. All right, it's up to for us to really do our due diligence
Yeah.
and use this new school look with these old school feels, and bring these like terp profiles that are non-existent today in most of the market. All
Yeah.
right, and like revitalize them and bring them back up to speed, and get people to, like, there's a way that you can have that 29-30%er, but also have it completely loaded up with fucking turfs and cannabinoids. Like,
Yeah.
one of the strands we grow, like we grow an old Kim Reserve cut. All right. This old school Kim. All right. It's hard as fuck to grow. This goes back to one of those where, like, if it really wasn't what it was, we probably wouldn't grow it. But it is kin to the heart and true. Uh, it's a fuck, man. It is a Warhammer, but it tastes like 2001.
Mhm.
It hits like 1998.
Yeah.
So and a lot of places won't do that. But I mean,
Yeah.
I think that, like, you really have to put it out there. You have to, like, I'm very vigilant. Like, I'm sharing everything. I'm fully open. Like, I was giving me the tools to be able to be open, and be like, hey man, like,
Yeah. They
let
really believe in you. Like they went
we
and
we
won you a belt, man. They won you a belt in 2024. Like
well, we've won a few of them, and and that was like, go back, talk about, I toured a couple other places
sure.
before, you know, and grow rooms are grow rooms.
Yeah.
This one's got 50 lights, that one's got 100. You
Right.
see, like, none of that really matters. All right.
Were they more concerned with your SOP, or were you more concerned about, I mean, their SOP than what were you
The,
really looking for? Like you as your breeder?
I was looking at, like, the dry room and the cure
Hmm.
room,
Okay.
Oh, man.
because that's, you don't want to spend, the last thing you want to do is spend 7 months of your life to grow moms, take cuts, veg them, flower them, to just shit out at the fucking end of the line.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, like, when I saw the dry room and then I saw the cure room process and, like, what that is, I was like, yeah, it's a no brainer. It wasn't much different than what I would do at home.
I'm
So
personally a big believer in reheat in commercial facilities. I
yeah,
think that's a game changer.
we use reheat technology in all of our flowering.
Then you are ahead of the curve, like most people. You know
We
the
are,
secret.
yeah, you got to, and it's there's so many little facets that you really have to think about during and at scale,
Hmm.
that are just that you can't take the same approach from home
Right.
to try to implicate it to here, because you can't. They're just different beasts,
Yeah.
you know. But you can still have that same level of attention to detail in both, home and scale. And that's one of the things that, like, I think that Vibe does, like, extremely well. The attention to detail, the amount of like hands on that, like, we are with the plant start to finish. We would rather not release something that doesn't stand and match the quality that we, like, they will take hard answers and be like, boom, let's just move on, because it's a disservice to the people who support us and the people who actually go into the store and get it. Like, we respect them just as much as they respect us, because we're open, we're transparent, and we're one of
And
the
Respectfully, too, we work in a recycling system. So if something's not the quality that you're looking for, you can always recycle it into something else and literally make a viable product out of it still.
Yeah.
Just because it didn't meet the quality standards of the flower consumption, which I think a lot of us who are old school prefer it because that's where we started. That's where the roots are. But that's where the most true, like you said, entourage isn't coming from anything else that's been pulled out of it. I don't care how good you are of a scientist. To have every aspect of that plant is in the plant. So making a quality plant that is representable and shows that you know what the hell you're doing, and to only put that out and to not go, oh my God, but it tested 38%. So we have to sell all of it.
Yeah.
And you know that it's not up to par to what you would smoke at home. You go, listen, well, then we can wash that shit,
Yeah.
turn it into another completely viable
Mhm.
product, and
Mhm.
still have, and if you have a good laboratory, which it sounds like you guys do, if you've got a good laboratory, they can turn, something that isn't great on the front end into something absolutely spectacular on the back end.
Oh
So
yeah.
hold your integrity.
Yeah.
I respect that
Look at cheaters.
exponentially for
Yeah, we have a we have a phenomenal lab. I mean, we're one of the few companies that like we do about a 50-50 split between flower and like right now, like Monday and Tuesday are fresh frozen harvest. So we'll dedicate, anywhere between 500 to 600 plants that go straight to fresh frozen. Then the rest of the harvest goes to flower. And when we get to our lab, that's when we have a solventless director. We have a solvent BHO. We have these two teams that like they get literally the best material that they possibly can get, and we have like they are a beast, I we make some phenomenal rosin. We make hand rolled hash holes. We do bubble hash infused joints.
oh
We do data tech. We do. I mean, we're what's really great about like what we do is that we've incorporated a lot of the traditional side and people within the traditional side that stand for quality and these practices. And those are that's the same people that are fucking in there right now that we are washing right now. Today,
yeah,
like I think we average about like anywhere between 45 and 60,000 grams get washed a day. And
nice.
That's
30,000
work.
30,000 for BHO a day. And
That's
like,
awesome.
and I'm going to tell you right now, like, I'm going to get flack for it, but I smoke BHO. Like,
Cool.
I
No,
smoke.
you it's
You
a
should.
listen,
Done well. It's great.
if your lab is good at it, I don't give a shit what anybody says. Some of the best product I've ever smoked in my life is BHO.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. Some of that old school, and you might remember back in Colorado at the beginning, dude, there were some unbelievable shatters coming out back in the day. And those
Mhm.
things weren't the strict, really tight regulation. I think that they had 1,000 parts per million or something like that rule of BHO left. And I think, or it might have been 800 because that's what OSHA allows you to work in, right?
Right,
Which is
right.
still, you've taken so much of that product off of there that it's like minimally at all if at all harmful.
Yeah.
But fuck, man, some of that shit
Oh,
back in the
dude.
day.
I used
We
to blast my
cycle.
own in PVC.
Yeah. Shit, open blast in the backyard. Let's go.
You know,
But
with garbage cannabis.
we're down to, our BHO is coming out at 0 parts per billion.
Oh wow.
Yeah, nice.
So I
Nice.
mean, and honestly, like I'm old school. Like so for me, there will always be like OG 18, Kosher Kush, Headband, like Kim Dog, all of these old school strains. Like that's where I always go back to that. And like
Mhm.
one of my really good friends used to live in Portland, now lives in Hawaii. He was the guy who made the Dog Walker OG. and the dog walker is Albert Walker crossed with Kim Dog, and like it is hands down one of my favorite cuts. Period, and it's probably the best, like my favorite hash that we've made here in the lab. And like, period. Like, I just love, like, there's something about Kush. There's something about
Yeah.
like, that's, you know, that's when, that's where I always will go back to, because it's that feeling. If you've ever got to smoke real Kush, you know what I'm saying? You know, there's that when like you get this like weird salvation drip in your
Mm-hmm.
mouth. You're just like,
The
man,
Lip
water.
smacker.
like that shit makes me feel like home. You know,
Yep.
like that's home to me. So
Yeah.
it's not a great rosin strain, but damn, that BHO batter could be some of my favorite batters that I've smoked in the
Yeah.
last.
And that's the thing too, is it's also it's so gentle to the terpenes at times, where it just retains all of whatever that funk is that comes out of it. And
Mhm.
again, if you have a good laboratory, they know what they're doing.
Mhm.
Bro, I'm right there with you. I'm old school Kush, out of this world for me too. But I also saw you're an orange guy too, huh? You had your little
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, you got to. I mean, hey, man, you got to have it both. You got to, you know, like I. All right, so I'm fruit for the day and power at night. You know what I'm saying? Like you,
yeah,
it's.
Yeah.
I think there's. I can't like. I can't just wake up and go straight to like LA Confidential. I can't go straight to some SFOV. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I need
yeah,
I like I really love, I think the cuties, you're probably talking about the cuties.
yeah,
So that's the Mimosa Skittles Face Off OG. That's what that is.
yeah,
So even with the layers of the fruit and candy, like I had to have that face off in there,
Yeah.
because if you can still get power in effect and complete this range, all right, you can have exactly what you want in every form, you know. And I think the cuties is one of those things that was just the perfect combination. It had the Skittles, it had the lemon skunk, had the tangy, and purple punch and face off. You throw all these things together, and it like literally, like, yeah, it's a fucking banger.
yeah.
I love that strain.
I also love how you talk about cannabis too, because you are correlating very much so some of the more prominent terpene profiles to the flavor and scent profiles, but also then drawing it back to where they are lineated from, right? Like, because nowadays the names almost don't mean shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's not a good guide in any of the names. But if you can tell that that is a chem, if you can tell that's an OG, if you know that's a Tangy or a Skittles or a white or whatever, if you can get back to that kind of point, well, then it's really easy to kind of build forward to what it is. But without that, I think, like you said, the best way to find out, man, if we can all do that deli style,
Mhm.
put your nose in it, your
Yeah.
nose knows, your brain's telling you for some reason that that's because I know some people who love the gases and the garlics, and I know some people that can't stand it. And then on the other side of that, the piney, lemony, whatever. Some people, that's all they'll smoke all day. And then other people that hate it. And I think I'm with you. I'll take a little bit of any of it if it's grown well.
Right.
Um, but,
Yeah.
Well, I
yeah,
mean, like the body will always gravitate towards what it needs,
Yep.
you know. And like, I think that we, you know, like cannabis is a truly Ayurvedic medicine, you know,
Yeah.
like, and without being able to look at it, without being able to smell it, you know, like it's hard to just be like, I want that. But to like
Yeah.
get back to some Deli-Style, to get back and to like let the body like know, like, oh damn, I need that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I don't I don't really, okay, so we can talk about like, I don't believe that there's recreational use. You know, I think that like it's all medicinal, period. You know, and like we go back to you will gravitate towards it. There's some people that can smoke weed once and it's just not for them because their system doesn't need that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't, that vibration isn't correct for where they're at that point in time in their life. And then you have some people that like me. It was like I tell you, it was the first weekend of 8th grade. I can tell you that exactly where I was at. I can tell you how many holes we put into this Pepsi can, and it was at that moment that that was like the first moment that I realized who I was, and I was like, this is me, you know,
Yeah.
and like. Hey, it's been a ride. It's been a fucking long, strange trip, but I think it's like you know,
Yeah.
and it's like it's for some people, it's not for everybody, you know, and like I think that we've gotten a little bit accustomed to abusing it. You know, I think like it's been popularized to like take 2 gram dabs and this and all this shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like cool, but like I'm at it in probably when in my 20s and when I was a young kid,
Sure.
I would do the same thing. But now I'm at this point where it's like this is more of like a spiritual thing for me. And like it's
Sure.
this is like me coming back to center. And like now I've been able to, you know, I've gotten through my day and I can celebrate, you know, and it's this I just love this shit. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
Jay,
and like,
you sound exactly like me right now, bro.
Yeah.
Like every word
Absolutely.
that you're
Yeah.
saying is literally what I have for the last few years. I keep going on live. Whoever the fuck will listen to me, I'm gonna keep talking about it because this thing has done something for me spiritually and personally, and where it is that thing I can lean into, whether times are good or times are bad. And it's always been fucking true for me. It's always helped me hold my center a little more true. And like you said, when I was younger, maybe there was misuse of it in some ways, but um, my respect for this plant has grown exponentially. And for anybody out there who believes that if they even have the inclination that, hey, I might like to use that thing, well, why? It's because it's going to help in some other aspect of your life. And even if that's just to be slightly intoxicated, inebriated, whatever the hell it is, that we get that little buzz that goes on to escape from all the shit, that's as much to me medicine as any other person who's using it for whatever their ailments are. And I think that a lot of times when people who do use it for the first time, if you're willing to use the thing, if we represent it in the proper ways, and we don't overdo certain aspects of it, like there has been this exuberated THC side of things, then the entry into it, man, people can find this thing in the way that we did, because a lot of us started with some sticks and seeds and just compacted
Yep.
down dirty
Brick
whatever the
packs.
hell it was. We started there, and it gave us a level of comfort that to this day, like you said, I can remember exactly where I was at the first time I consumed and actually felt something. All right, because I tried to consume a couple of times because I thought it would be cool, or I kind of wanted to get into that, escape my own shit feel that this thing has offered. And it didn't happen for me until the time that it did. I remember exactly the little red gas station metal pipes that they used to sell that we
oh yeah,
smoked out of, with a little fucking screen, a
Mm-hmm.
contact lens screen pushed into it.
mm-hmm.
And bro,
Did it
it's
have like a
still,
little screw top that you fucking
Yeah.
like? Yeah,
yep,
yeah, yeah.
yep. Dude, that was the first thing I ever smoked out of.
Mhm,
um and it did it for me then, right?
Yuck.
So the thing
mhm.
was, I came into it with a better threshold for acceptance to it, where some people now, they're going, okay, I want to try it. I'm going to go to the dispensary because now it's legal. It feels good that everybody's allowing me to do this. I don't feel the burdens that a lot of us have been put through our lives to consume this thing or grow this thing or be a part of it. They don't feel that anymore. Their guard is completely down. They don't have the environment that you would be looking for, friends, music, good food, whatever it is, planned out and set up and ready for them. So they're going into this in this, I'm going to go back home where I feel miserable to begin with because I'm
Right.
pissed off at everything going on. And I'm going to consume this thing because I see everybody else having fun with it or feeling good with it. And now I consume it and I'm inside my own house where everything sucks and things are bad. And I just sit and dwell in it. I overthink. And so there is misuse of it, but I think the representation from all of us, whether it's in our growing styles or in the ways that we talk about it, like you said, we've all matured now to a space where I respect this thing in a different way that I did when I was in my 20s. And I only hope that by us having these conversations, and people who've been around the block a time or two, by us having these conversations, at some point we get down to the younger generations who then can appreciate it for everything throughout their entire existence, whether they want to or not. It's something that you go to. It doesn't have to fall on you, but I want the framework for it to be done right. And I'd love the things that they're accessing when they first get the product to be something like you said, that you're putting your heart into it. You're putting your livelihood, your passion, everything is coming into this thing where like, it's your baby, dude. And when you present this thing properly and you're doing it right, I don't know that there's anything better in life than being a part of this fucking plant, dude. Like it is a cool and the community around the plant.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like here's the whole deal, and like this is the 100%, 1000% truth. None of this exists. This conversation doesn't exist. This market doesn't exist. These stores don't exist without this plant.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of it is owed to this plant. So
Yeah.
respect it,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and it's at
Listen.
that point where these conversations are what are left behind.
Mhm.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? These conversations are these building blocks. So these stories don't stop. These feelings and these emotions and these experiences don't stop. And that can get poured into this next generation. Because I tell you, it's beautiful that like a lot of the people that I work with are 21 to 28, man.
Yeah.
And it's like to see the excitement that they have, all right, rekindles my fire
Yeah.
because you know what I'm saying? I remember being that kid.
I just got
Know.
chills when you said it, dude, because I watched it too. They literally come in with a different level of fucking go for this thing. And I in the front end when I was doing it, I watched so many fall on their face and go, "Holy shit, this is not what the fuck I thought it was."
Yeah.
Right.
And it's from a lot of us who hold it together. Where I even saw MJ Biz, whatever. It's one of the bigger. Oh, Flower Hire, I think who it was, or MJ Biz something on Indeed the other day posted a meme and it stuck with me because it was like. We got through another miserable week at the dispensary or at the cannabis job or whatever, but we did it with our person and it was like two people dancing. They're like, fuck yeah. Because a lot of this, it's the interaction amongst us who are holding up some of the integrity of the plant,
Mhm.
while some things are running away and going in a different direction than what we know the heart and passion of this thing is, entourage instead of just THC dominance. Um, it's these things I think too that it's amongst us all. It's with the 21-year-olds. It's us being the guides to them, and helping them get to the place where they present it, for generations to come. And it's like you said, that's part of leaving that legacy, bro.
It's
Like,
it's us not being so jaded that we pass it on to the next generation, you know,
true.
and that's hard too.
Yeah, because it was so hard. Like back in the day, it's like I had nobody to ask questions to.
Sure.
You know what I'm
We
saying?
didn't
Like,
have forums.
no, none of that existed, you know. So it was like there was like this true trial by error, you know. It
Mhm.
was like, and that was like one of the things that has always kind of stuck with me is that like I believe in my mistakes, 1,000%. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Because that's the mindset and the energy that I need to have. And if it's a mistake, I'll find out when it's a mistake. But I'm not
Sure.
gonna if I question things in the process, then that's not me truly believing in what I'm doing. So like I trust in my mistakes, and that's kind of like how we had to do things back in those days. You know what I'm saying? It
Sure.
was like this is gonna work until it doesn't. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And it was like, okay, now we can let's reformulate. Let's figure this out. Let's do these things. You know, it was I
Accepting humility and living in that humility, and coming out a better person on the other side, learning from your humility is one of the best traits you can have as a person. And then I think the other one that plays hand in hand with that is empathy.
Mhm.
To understand that the other person by you doesn't know what you know or hasn't gone through what you have, and we haven't gone through what they have. So for us to share um, our experiences and some of these knowledges too, to push it on to other places, and like you said, I didn't have a guide necessarily, but I sure did have a few awesome ass people in my life who I looked up to, who were more divulging. They would give you the information, they would have some more of these real life conversations.
Mhm.
And you know, it's for me too, like, and some of them don't, they're not here anymore, but there is much here inside me, inside this conversation,
Mhm.
as anything else. And that's their legacy living on in certain ways. And it's because I feel like I owe them something, I owe everybody something, but I owe myself something, to
Mhm.
just be fucking true,
Yeah.
to accept when I failed, and to get back up and do it again. And it's not because of any level of malice or to take advantage of you in any way. The things that we do it out of love, with passion, and it's literally it's trying to help somebody,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
I want you to feel what I've felt through this. I want you to feel as good as I've felt because of this thing. And by you doing it, by producing it, it shows outward. Like, you know, I think you're a fucking badass, Jay. I've loved this conversation. It's cool as fuck to get through with some people who are really fucking doing it on the ground. And really, like Aaron said at the beginning of this, people are envious of what you got going on, dude.
I think
People
I said
love
that
that.
before we started recording. Yeah,
Oh, well,
Jay actually gets to participate in the regulated market as somebody who gets to grow weed, and he doesn't get screwed by the big corporations. He doesn't get replaced every 2 years. They, you know, a lot of the other companies out here get to they hire somebody and then they have them for 2 3 years, and they fire them, and then it's, you know, on to the next one. And
is
Jay actually gets to live the dream of all of us growers who would love to be in the market helping people. And so I was jokingly telling him we were envious of him. So
no, I don't
yeah,
know. It's a joke. I'm into
I
it,
mean, I
dude. I
am, but
love that
like
you're doing what you're
in a
doing.
very healthy, loving way. I
Yeah. Oh
don't mean
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't mean that with any envy. I'm saying like Jay is living the dream, and it is super fucking cool.
And
You know,
I don't take a second of it for
right?
granted.
You can
You
tell
know,
too.
it's like you know, like it's been a long fucking road.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I've been through a lot of different places, and like
Oh yeah,
I
you deserve all the success for sure.
and it's like I'll tell you honestly what the biggest reward is out of all of this right now is that like, and I'm gonna get deep and emotional real quick with this, but I've only got like 7% power left on my. All
Okay.
right, but like growing up, I had some really amazing. Like I had an amazing mom and an amazing dad. My mom
Hmm.
was a booking agent for what became contemporary music, and my dad was a roadie for Jefferson Airplane and Pavlov's Dog and all of this stuff. I grew up in this really amazing, like supportive, like regardless of what I was into, they supported it.
Sure.
And my mom and dad were like the only two people I never had to lie to about any of this, ever, you know? And, like, I did my first pop up, my first seed release, like a month after my mom passed away. And she would have everything ready for me. She was like, Jay, I want you to do this. What do you think about this? Because she was a marketing genius. All right. And like, I started the company in my dad's basement, you know, and started making seeds out of my pop's basement. And knowing that this like crazy thing that I thought that I wanted to do, and I was like, this is what I'm going to do. You know, like I knew I needed to pivot from just growing weed wasn't I let me take my stingy ass and fucking really dive into going full scale in genetics. So these seeds that I've made in my dad's basement, right, that my mom and dad fully supported me on and everything. Now those seeds have sown and help really put a paycheck in 260 people's pockets. And that's just the 260 people that I work with. You know, that's not all the dispos that sell this stuff. That's not the grow stores that sell my seeds and all these
It's not all
things.
the consumers that actually ingest that product in your parents' memory in a way like it lives on like mycelium, man. It just grows and grows and grows.
It spreads and grows.
Yeah.
That to me is the biggest reward, and as far as an accomplishment. Like the awards cool, you know what I'm saying? Like, but like knowing that like these little bitty things that I did have created these huge waves and help people to this day and will continue to past this day.
Hell
That's
yeah.
fucking that's everything I've ever wanted. You know what I'm saying? I don't
Yeah,
I'm not one of these guys.
You're
I don't
living
need
the dream. You're
I don't need a
literally
big
living the dream, man.
car. You know what I'm saying? I need good vibes, good food, and good people. And to
Hell
know
yeah.
that my people are good, then that's fine. I'm not the guy you call to be like celebrated. I'm that dude you call at 3 a.m. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That it's either getting the shovel or I'm coming to get you. You know,
Yeah.
that's where, you know, like that's me. You know, like I'm that, you know, like I'm there when I'm needed, you know.
Yeah.
And it's
Well,
like
and that the belts and shit are a recognition of success in a different place. What you're saying there is a personal success that it's unrivaled because in the same way, it means more um, to be the good and to be the provider and to be the the one that'll show up when you fucking need somebody to show up, dude. Because there's been a lot of times, I know a lot of people who haven't had somebody show up, you know, and to be that ride or die is, you know, again, it's a personal success that it doesn't matter recognized or not, man. When you feel it internally, when you know that your mission and what you're doing is the right thing, and not only that, like you said, it's also the awards. Don't be shy about them, dude. It's fucking cool to be doing
I know,
really good.
hey, I get stoked. Like it
Dude,
just
it's cool as fuck, dude. Yeah,
it is. Okay, you know what I'm saying? But I'm like one of these people where like compliments are just always so hard for me
you're
to,
humble, dude. Yeah,
you know, and it's the Italian in me. So the loud Italian comes out and roars sometimes. But it was really cool. They just had a flower competition over the weekend, and this guy Hydrocraft, I forget what his full Instagram handle is, but he took third out of a huge grouping and with the Quasimodo. And I really love that Quasimodo strain. He's got a really phenomenal, and it's awesome that like all the people that judged for that flower, like picked him in the top 3. So that gets me stoked. I won't enter
Hydrocraft 420.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Hydrocraft 420.
I'm down to 5% power.
All right, cool.
Right?
but that's no, that's fine. We're gonna wrap up right now. I wanted to
And
give
we
you an
might have to do a
opportunity.
part 2 on this one.
We're gonna have to definitely do a part 2.
1000%.
I was gonna say I wanted to give you an opportunity before we wrapped up. Where can people find you? You got a new website, right? Tree14.com.
Yeah, so I'm at tree14.com. That's the new website we just launched
Yeah.
on Friday. So
Sick.
super stoked about that. You can find me on Instagram at underscore tree14 underscore.
That's
And
right.
you can find me on, I'm on Twitter. I'm not really that much on X or
Yeah.
Twitter. And then I'm also like, you can follow along through the Vibe pages like Vibe City
Yeah.
710, Vibe City Mo. We're constantly putting everything out there, man. And you can always message me whenever, and then it's at tree14 at Gmail. Just don't do it before 6 a.m. because I will not respond until after that.
Hell yeah.
So let me sleep, and then we can do anything else you need to after that, man.
Hell yeah.
And
Well, hey.
if you guys really want to check something out that's super dope, man, you need to go and follow the Support Dope People's fucking page on Insta,
Thank you, brother.
YouTube, all the fucking
Yeah.
platforms, man,
Hell yeah.
because that's what we need more of. We need more support for dope fucking people, man.
I appreciate you, Jay, for real.
Yeah, you're a badass.
Yeah, I can't wait for 2, and we got to come down soon when the new stores open. That'd be super cool. But,
hey man, whenever you guys want to come down, I'll give you guys a tour of the facility, man. We'll check it out, man. Fridays are usually a good day,
come on,
kind of,
Dave.
and then
How
we'll
far
get
away
you.
from you're like right by St. Louis?
We're like in the heart of St. Louis. As soon as
you got some good disc golf down there.
Cool, Dave. Let's go
yeah,
to
we
Gateway.
got great disc golf
Let's go
here,
to
man.
Gateway.
Great disc golf.
Great disc
Let's
golf.
go.
All right, cool.
And hey man, I'm pretty good at real golf too. So if you guys,
fucking let's go.
All right,
All
so-
right.
if you want to lose some money, you know what I'm saying? Come on down. You can get me on the frisbee golf, but I'll get you on the course, man. We'll go play Ann Bryan. Ann Bryan is one of my favorite courses. It's on the Illinois side, right down there by Waterloo. If you like, it's a beautiful fucking course. Beautiful.
I would love
story.
that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
can't
man.
wait.
So let's go have some fun.
Oh yeah.
I love
We'll
it.
stick around for a minute. For everybody else, we hope you enjoyed this Memorial Day episode with Jay Willis from Tree14 Genetics, Mr. Molove himself. Go check him out. Go to tree14.com. I promise you, affordable seed packs. I can't show you the prices because YouTube, but you should go there and check it out. They're actually great, fantastic.
I appreciate you guys, man, for sure, man. This was a great time to chop it up, man.
Hell yeah. We love you all. Smoke weed every day. Peace.
Peace.
Yo, ding dong, we're done here. Time to go. Donuts!